Hello everyone, Charlie Slater at Waterwerks. Today we're going to make a video on the Vichy shower and particularly contrast therapy Vichy shower treatment. So we're going to be covering a lot of material. We're going to do it in a relaxed way, not real clinical or anything like that, or real soothing and relaxing like you would a treatment in the spa. So I apologize for the echoing you might hear from the tile room that we have. We are here with Ty, who's our therapist today, and Sandy, who will be our model today behind the camera. And mostly we just want to show you basic step by step how this Vichy shower treatment works, using contrast therapy at the very end with some Scott's hose spray at the very last. So we'll start with step one is prep your room. So get the room all prepared before the guest gets here, before you've got to get the guest in the room, introduce yourself and all that. So step by step, the first thing we want to do is on the Vichy shower, the control handle that runs the Vichy shower arm itself, got to turn that on. So Ty, go ahead and turn that, pull that knob down. Yep. And we have a temperature gauge on the Vichy. So the Blast Vichy shower, which is the model that this one is, has a thermostatic mixing valve. And all that does is mix the hot and cold water. So you don't have to sit here and turn the shower on and off with that. So it's already preset. So we just have to wait for all the hot water to get here. And to do that, we want to go to the very last shower head, because this shower arm is full of water that's probably about room temperature right now, which is probably about 75 degrees. So it's a little chilly to spray on your guests right at once. So I'm going to open up this very last shower head. I want to try to keep as much water away from the floor, so when the guest comes in, they're not walking through a slippery floor with water. So I'm going to turn this last shower head on. And I need to get the hot water from the hot water source, which is in this case at the Watershed Spa. It's clear on the other side of the building. So it takes a little while for all that hot water to get here. So you'll see how long this is going to take. It's still cold. Temperature gauge hasn't moved. We're at starting to come up now. So I'm starting to feel some warm water. You don't have to run the warm water for very long at all to get the shower arm prepped. So now I've got hot water, so now I'm done. So now I'm done priming the system with hot water. So then the next step now is to prepare your table. So he's pulling a sheet out of a hot towel cabbie, which you can just kind of see off camera there. I've noticed a lot of spas, this is what they'll do, and then they'll leave this draped over the sides. If that's your preference, go right ahead. But in what we're doing with our protocols, we tuck that in to catch the water and some product at the same time. So we're all set. You put a little washcloth on the face cradle, I think we do. So this is a great prep for your table. We've got it all thrown in, tucked in so that the water can drain down into the troughs area and product can go onto the sides. Our wet bolster, our hose is down underneath, away from where the guest is going to be coming in. And next step will be to get your spa products ready. Whatever the treatment is that you're going to do, whether it's seaweed or mud or sugar or salt or whatever, more mud or whatever it is that you're going to do. In our case, we'll be doing a salt scrub. Ty will get the products ready to go. And what he's going to be using is a simple massage oil and a scrubbing salt. So he's got those products ready to go. And then one of the last things that we've learned over the years to do, because water is going to get in the guest's face and water is going to be running down and it's just too much. So one of the things that we do is we have a lot of facial towels that we can hand the guests so they can wipe their face, which is a nice added bonus. You keep them in a nice waterproof tub, and they're very handy right up in the very front of the table. So now we'll take, and in this case, we have a battery-operated hydraulic table, which has a handheld controller on it. So we're going to lower the table down pretty much as far as it'll go. The reason we're doing that is so the guest is easy to get on the table. They don't have to go a long distance up, and they won't slip and fall. So it's nice to be able to just lower this down, and it'll go pretty low. And so there you have it. So quick review. We prime the system with hot water. I can feel the shower bar and it's hot. So now all the water in here is going to stay warm while we're doing what we're doing. And then we prepare the table. Then we prepare our spa products. We make sure we've got facial towels, and then we make sure the table is lowered down pretty low. So basic setup, easy to do, and that's that. So now we'll go on to the next step, which is greeting the guest. Okay, so we've walked you through the prep, and now we're going to walk through greeting the guest. So it's a real critical point, and it's probably almost as critical as the treatment itself, because here's where you're setting the expectation, number one, and number two, you're familiarizing the guest with what you're going to be doing. Because most folks that come to the spa and they are going to do something like this, a little intimidating because they've never had anything like this before. So it's nice if you can walk them through so that they already kind of are familiar with what's going to happen, because most folks don't like not knowing. So we'll just walk you through a basic introduction that we go through. Welcome to Waterworks, Sandy. Thank you so much. My name's Charlie Slater.
Hi, Charlie.
Yes. And want to walk you through our treatment today.
Wonderful.
So we're going to be doing a scrub, and we'll incorporate Vichy shower spray, and we'll incorporate some contrast therapy, and we'll use a little bit of the hose at the end. So it'll be kind of phases as we go.
Okay.
So we'll start you face up, and I'll start with a little massage area on your arms, shoulders, legs, etc. And then we'll do a scrub. Today's going to be a salt scrub, and then we'll do some rinsing, and then we will have you flip, and then we'll do the same thing on the back. And then once that's all done, then we'll try a little bit of contrast therapy with you and see how much you like that. It's a lot of fun. This isn't real soothing, relaxing kind of a thing. This is really going to be invigorating and exciting, and it's a lot of fun. So anything that you don't like, I've got facial towels here. Your face is going to get wet. So these are here for you. So anytime you want one to be able to wipe your face with, you just ask me and it'll happen. So to start off with, I'm going to pull this curtain.
Okay.
And you'll disrobe.
Yep.
And you're wearing a swimsuit underneath because this is a bathhouse, so you already have a swimsuit on. So you'll put your robe on there, hang the swimsuit on top of that. And Ty will come in and he'll put your swimsuit in a hot towel cabbie for a while to warm it up. And just so folks understand, this is an education video, so we're trying to train you on the Vichy treatment, so we're not being real practical and real detailed in what we're trying to do. So Sandy's going to be wearing her suit the entire time. That gives Ty the freedom to be able to do what he's doing, and so we can explain things as we go. If we're really super worried about draping and maintaining Sandy's privacy, it's not going to be as educational as we would like. So with all of that, Sandy's been introduced to the therapist. She's been walked through the treatment and told what to do. So now she knows exactly what to do, and she'll drape and she'll start face up. Typically, the guest is now in the nude. So that was the reason for walking you through all that process. So, all right. So Sandy, we'll pull this drape. You get yourself all set up. So now what Ty's going to do is, it's the other great thing about having a battery operated hydraulic table. It's way too low for him to work on. His back will be killing him after just the first treatment. So he's going to raise that table to his comfort level, to where he's not having to bend over and he's not having to reach up. So every therapist is kind of a different height, and they like working at different levels. So that's one of the beauties of having this battery operated hydraulic table. So he's going to start off by doing the draping as if she was obviously unclothed, and then he'll proceed to do some massage work. Now the massage work is great because it winds up getting the oil on her body, so that when he's doing the salt scrub, he can just apply the salt right on top of that oil, rather than kind of mixing it all up and doing all that. So you'll notice Ty, when he was working on the Vichy shower arm side of things, he was pretty aware of where the shower arm is, because we've all hit our heads enough You get kind of used to it. It won't take very long and you won't be banging your head on those shower heads. You can't get the shower arm too high or it's hard to reach, and then it loses a lot of water spray onto the guests. So that's the reason the shower arm is at that height. Most folks will have to kind of duck a little bit under it. So now Ty will go into the actual scrub itself. All right, now he's going to start with the Vichy, part 1 of the Vichy treatment. Notice he's pointed that first shower head away from her face, so it's not spraying her right in the face. Most folks don't like that. A lot of times in the Vichy, and the technician, they'll be monitoring the water temperature, so they'll look at that temperature gauge every now and then. If you're like most spas, someone could flush a toilet, or someone can be taking a shower, or a pedicure unit is picked on that's using the same hot water sources, and sometimes that'll change the water pressure and it'll change the hot water pressure in that mixing valve, and that mixing valve has to start to figure out how to correct itself when the pressure drops. So sometimes it'll ask for a little more hot water, sometimes it'll ask for a little less. Most of the time it stays pretty dialed in on where you put it. And in this particular case, it's at about 104, 105 at the mixing valve, but it's at about 102 at the shower heads. And that's just about right. Was that comfortable temperature, Sandy?
It was perfect.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so that's how we dial it in right. Most Vichy systems, the temperature gauge on the system itself will be definitely different than what it is at the shower head. Usually about 4 or 5 degrees difference. So he's done on the face, so now he'll have her do her flip. And she'll flip onto her back, and she'll scoot up and put her face into the face cradle. And then obviously for our purposes today, with Sandy wearing a swimsuit, Ty would typically scrub more of the body, but he's not gonna put the salt underneath the suit or do anything like that. But for illustrative purposes, I think everyone kind of understands. As you go through and you do treatments every now and then, you'll notice that something will get a little bit out of adjustment. So this just needs to get turned a little bit. As you can see, the water come out. And we'll turn that in. Now we'll go to the Vichy part 2. Obviously it'll be a bit longer than part 1 because the back just has more opportunity and not so many vulnerabilities as the front does. That's why we save it for the part 2. And the shower heads that we are using, Ty's able to adjust those from a wide spray to a stream spray. So now you can see him going right into a real steady stream and putting those and doing that on the bottom of the feet. Whereas he's keeping the larger sprays for the legs and the back. And now he's going to kind of wipe some salt off. So one of the cool and unique things about the blast is he's able to get that real steady stream, and he'll go right to the back and he'll just start going in different. Now you can even increase that pressure, shut off a couple of 2-3 shower heads, and you'll see that water pressure will increase. Yep. Can you feel the difference, Sandy?
Yeah.
Very much so. Now you're not able to do that with a traditional Vichy shower because most showers just give a wide spray. This will get a real steady, solid stream, And he can really work that and manipulate those areas on the body where he wants to aim those shower heads. It gives a real invigorating experience. What's it feel like, Sandy?
It's really wonderful. It's very pleasant.
Yeah, it's not too much.
Yeah, I can definitely feel the streams moving in the body.
And as you can see, as a typical Vichy shower, you're going to get water, it's going to spray, it's going to get wet. As it's bouncing off of Sandy, it's spraying out. The larger the spray you use, the less splash you're going to get. You'll notice Ty looking at that temperature gauge on that shower every now and then. He's just making sure that it's holding its temperature, which it hasn't even moved the entire treatment. And the mixing valve on that blast shower, it's accurate plus or minus a half a degree. So once you get it set in place, it's pretty much going to hold that temperature unless there is a water pressure change from somebody flushing a toilet or turning on a shower or a pedicure unit or shampoo bowl or whatever else is hooked to your same hot water system, as I mentioned before. So he's going to switch now to part 3 of a blast contrast therapy treatment, which is the actual contrast therapy itself, which means we're going to alternate between the 102 degree water and come down to about 80 degrees. And we don't just all of a sudden shock the guest with that. There's a good acclimation process when we do that. Before he does that, he'll most likely ask her if she wants to wipe her face with a washcloth at all.
No, we haven't been to that.
Awesome. Great.
Yeah.
Benefit. So now what Ty's going to do, and you're going to want to make sure with your guests that you tell them it's not going to just instantly go to cold water, and it's not really cold. It's just going to slowly drop from 102 down to, it won't go to 80, I doubt, because you're going to start off with a 3 count. So meaning 1001, 1002, 1003, and then ask her how she liked that. So go ahead, Ty, with that. Here it comes, Sandy.
Yep, you feel it starting to feed the legs and move on its way up.
So I'm watching the temperature gauge on the shower arm. So if Ty can point that out, on the blast, that's the reason for the temperature gauge on the shower arm. So when you're doing the contrast therapy, because like if you were doing this in Alaska, for instance, that water could drop significantly, which might be a little too much. Whereas if you're doing it in Hawaii, it probably isn't going to drop as much. So that way there's no guesswork. You pretty much know. So it dropped down to about 90 degrees with a 3-second count. And now it's going to start coming back up again. And so if Sandy's ready, he'll ask her if she'd like to go to a 5 or a 10 count.
Like 5 or 10?
Did it still not work out again?
Okay, so now what's going on is you might have to adjust the gauge a little bit and give it a little bit of hot, ask for a little more hot water. Because we changed the pressure in the valve when we went with that cold water.
There it is, now it's warming up.
So we went, when we asked it to fill it full of cold water, we took some hot water away from the mixing valve, so it changed the pressure. So the mixing valve is trying to figure out what to do. So might need to come up just a little bit more.
Yep.
Not too much. And it'll start to come back, and each individual spa is unique and different. So as you do this, you'll start to kind of figure out how and the best way to adjust your temperatures so that when you're doing the contrast therapy, it'll settle itself out. There it goes. It's starting to come back up now.
It is now, yeah, I just felt it on my feet and move it on.
Yep. So he'll give it another minute or so to come back up to full temp. And you got to remember now that you've adjusted that temperature gauge. Because we've asked for more hot water, the system is going to regulate itself and it's going to return back to normal. So you don't want that hot water to overcome her and get too much. So you're constantly going to be watching that gauge on the mixing valve itself, so on the shower system, not so much on the shower arm. So just in the event that things all self-regulate back again, you don't want it to spike to like 110. So he's back up into that 102 degrees. So if Sandy's ready,
Yeah, go. Yeah, go ahead.
For 5 seconds, okay?
Perfect.
So 1, 2, 3, 4.
so that was a 1005 count.
Yep.
So water's coming down,
Yep. And now
water's going back up again.
Yeah, it's warming back up.
So like I mentioned, it takes a little bit for the mixing valve to realize what we're doing. I'd adjust it up just a little more, not too much, and then we'll keep our eye on it. Here it comes. So now it's real important because we're back up to where it was. You can see the temperature gauge on the mixing valve. I can remind you that it's still coming up, so you're going to keep your eye on it, and then she might be ready for her 10 count.
All right, there's your 10 count.
Yep.
All right. About 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. How's that?
It's chilly.
Yep,
There it goes, now it's coming back.
yep, it dropped down to about 88 degrees. And now the system's figured out we're throwing cold water in it. And we've done that 3 times now. So the mixing valve is going to start figuring out what we've done, and it's going to want to start getting hotter. So we're going to back it off just a hair because we don't want it to spike. So here it comes, it's coming back, and now it's regulating, and she's done it. So the contrast is typically about 3 times, 3 count, 5 count, 10 count. Some folks, like myself, get pretty daring. I went all the way to a 30 count, and that water will come all the way down to about 80, 77, 78, 80 degrees. And so now Ty will finish up. And he'll put a finish with her. Sandy, would you like a facial towel? Do you need one?
Sure, yeah.
Perfect. Now we'll go to the final part 4. I think you wanted to, were you going to do that? Yeah, we have something a little bit different. It's fun to throw a little bit of different things in. So we've got the massaging, the handheld massaging device, a little bit on the bottom of the feet. Some folks are ticklish on the bottom of their feet, so stay kind of attuned to that. Hit the sciatic nerve.
Yep.
It's ticklish. Awesome. Like I say, it's just a nice little touch. Does something a little bit different. Now we'll go to part 4 of the Vichy treatment with the Blast Vichy shower, and that is the Scott's hose. So it's literally a 1-inch hose with a big spray nozzle on the end of it. Now Ty, when he goes to turn that on, because the Scott's hose is so big, it'll really pump a lot of water through there and it'll just drain your hot water tank down to nothing if you turn it all the way on. So he's probably only going to turn it on a quarter of a turn just to start with and see what he thinks about that water pressure, and you'll see how much water will come out of there right when he starts. So it's quite the spray, and he's going to want to get a real wide, big flower spray as much as he can. So he might add a little water pressure until he gets what he wants. If you adjust it in, you'll get a little bit more spray too. Yeah, there you go. He'll dial it in, and then he'll just spray kind of a finishing spray on Sandy, kind of as a nice little, very wide, soothing, invigorating at the same time spray. And with a Scott's hose, it's got serious flowage, so that'll be different pressure for the mixing valve. So Ty will probably keep watching that temperature gauge, because he's going to want to make sure it doesn't start getting too hot. Because the more water that comes through that mixing valve gauge is going to ask for more hot water. It's just the nature of the plumbing and kind of how it works. But it seems like it's holding its temperature pretty steady. So that walks you through the blast Vichy shower treatment. So the rest is kind of self-explanatory. Ty will re-drape Sandy. He'll pull the curtain closed. Sandy will be able to he'll hand her a facial towel for her wipe her face off with when she's ready. And then he'll pull the curtain closed, and she'll be able to get off the table and put her robe back on, and her swimsuit's nice and warm in the hot towel cabbie. And there you have it. That is a blast contrast Vichy shower treatment. What do you think, Sandy?
It was wonderful. Yeah, that was actually great.
Yes.
Yeah,
Awesome.
absolutely wonderful.
So all you folks in spa land, we're all spa people. So the folks that are watching this, we're doing this for you so that you can kind of get this and experiment, have fun, create your own little twerks, your own little kinks, your own little things that you want to add, some little value added here, little value added there, do things a little bit different. Some of you might not have a battery operated table. It's all right. You'll make a stationary table work. It's no problem. And there you have it. Thanks you guys for helping out.